ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। जिज्ञासाधिकरणम् अथातो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा। जन्माद्यधिकरणम् जन्माद्यस्य यतः। शास्त्रयोनित्वाधिकरणम् शास्त्रयोनित्वात्। समन्वयाधिकरणम् तत्तु समन्वयात्। फर्स्ट चैप्टर थर्ड पाद। द्युब्वादधिकरणम् द्युब्वात्यायतनं शब्दात् मुक्तोपसृप्य व्यपदेशात् न अनुमानम् अतच्छब्दात् प्राणभृच्च भेदव्यपदेशात् प्रकरणात् स्थित्यदनाभ्याञ्च। भूमाधिकरणम् भूमां संप्रसादात् अद्युपदेशात् धर्मोपपत्तेश्च। अक्षराधिकरणम् अक्षरम् अम्बरान्तर्धृतेः सा च प्रशासनात् अन्यभावव्यावृत्तेश्च। ईक्षति कर्म व्यपदेशाधिकरणम् ईक्षति कर्म व्यपदेशात् सह। दहराधिकरणम् दहर उत्तरेभ्यः गतिशब्दाभ्यां तथा हि दृष्टं लिङ्गञ्च। धृतेश्च महिम्नः अस्य अस्मिन् उपलब्धेः प्रसिद्धेश्च। इतर परामर्शात् स इति चेत् नासंभवति। उत्तरात् चेत् आविर्भूतस्वरूपस्थु अन्यार्थश्च परामर्शः। अल्पश्रुतेरिति चेत् तदुक्तम्। अनुकृत्यधिकरणम् अनुकृतेस्तस्य च अपि च स्मर्यते। प्रमितः शब्दादेव प्रमितः हृद्यपेक्षया तु मनुष्याधिकारत्वात्। We are seeing the 25th sutra of third pada, first chapter, 88th running Brahma Sutra. And we are discussing Pramithadhikaranam, the 7th Adhikaranam of the third pada, first chapter of Brahma Sutra. And we saw the first sutra, Shabdadeva Pramitaha, yesterday. Now the second sutra that we just read, that is Hridyapekshayatu Manushadhikaratvat. That sutra, it answers another possible question. And if you talk of the limitation of Paramatma, whether it is for the sake of upasana or because of some upadhi, some conditioning factor, for example, why should the Upanishad refer to the size of the thumb of all things in creation? For that, Vyasacharya answers. First, we will see now actually the general analysis. So Vyasacharya says, the Paramatma obtains in the mind of everyone as the Sakshi or witness. Though Paramatma is everywhere, Sakshi manifestation is not everywhere. Because everywhere it is Jada Prapancha, where Sakshi manifestation is not there. Whereas in the mind alone, Paramatma obtains as Sakshi witness. That is why it is called Upalabdhi Sthanam, the place of manifestation, Upalabdhi Sthanam. Generally, the scriptures, they say figuratively that Paramatma is in the mind. But Paramatma is everywhere. As it obtains in the mind as Sakshi, we compromise and say Paramatma is in the mind. For that, one explanation is Paramatma is manifest in the mind, or we can say Paramatma is in the mind also. And according to scriptures, mind is in the heart. And we are talking about the physical heart only. Therefore, Paramatma is in the heart. And now, what is the size of the heart? We know the size of the heart is such that it will occupy the space indicated by our fist. So Paramatma is within the container of this size, fist size. Within within that, how much can be accommodated in the fist size? The Upanishad says, try to put your thumb within. So therefore, Paramatma is at the size of the thumb, as it were. The thumb can fit into the fist. Therefore, Angushta Matraha Iva Purushaha. Then the question is, how you say that heart is at the size of the fist? In the case of an elephant, the heart will be much bigger. The heart can be bigger in the case of big animals. The size of the heart may vary. Since elephants do not study Vedas, we need not have to worry about that. Therefore, Manushya Adhikaratvat, we are not saying anything, Acharya says all that. So, Manushya Adhikaratvat, humans alone study the Upanishads, so we will worry about human heart only, which is at the size of a human fist. Therefore, Manushya Hridi Apekshaya, Angushta Matratvam, Natu, Gaja Hridaya Apekshaya, Natu, for example, blue whale Hridaya Apekshaya. It's also another big animal. So you take only Manushya Hridayam here, since Manushya, they study Upanishads. This is the general analysis. Now we will go to the word analysis. And the sutra contains 3 words, namely, Hridyapekshaya, it's one compound word, then tu, and then Manushyadi Karanatvat. So we have to supply Angushta Matratva. Now the order of the words is what? Hridi Apekshaya tu Angushta Matratvam Manushyadi Karatvat. That is how we will read this sutra. So Hridi Apekshaya tu Angushta Matratvam Manushyadi Karatvat. Now we will take each word one by one and do word analysis. So first word is what? Hridyapekshaya. Hridi Apekshaya, Hridyapekshaya. And we have to add a word Manushya and make one compound word. So Manushya Hridi Apekshaya. So Manushya Hridi Apekshaya, one compound word from the standpoint of human heart. That is the size of the human heart. Angushta Matratvam, the size of the human heart. And the size of the thumb is mentioned here. And Manushyadikaratva means because human beings alone are qualified to study the scriptures. Adhikaritvam is there for the human beings, not animals, elephants or anything. So the word tu, it indicates the Purvapaksha Nirashaha. Purvapakshi's objection is not valid. And what objection was not valid? With the Purvapakshi's objection was, why do you take human heart only and not anything else? Therefore, the conclusion of this Adhikaranam, Angushtamatra Purushaham, occurring in where? Kathopanishad. As I mentioned, the context should be very clearly mentioned when you analyze Brahma Sutras. So, Angushtamatra Purushaham, occurring in Kathopanishad, is only Paramatma. And Shankaracharya gives 2 additional support also for this argument, because the Purvapakshi quoted Satyavan story. If you remember, yesterday I mentioned that story, Satyavan Savitri story, to support his Jivatma argument. Shankaracharya, he takes Shruti support from Kathopanishad itself, 2nd chapter, 6th section, 17th mantra of Kathopanishad. Angushta Matraham Purushaham Antaratma Sada Jananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha Tam Swacharira Pravrhyed Munjadivam Ishikam Dhairyena Tam Vidya Chukram Amritam Tam Vidya Chukram Amritam Iti. That is the Kathopanishad mantra, 2nd chapter, 6th section, 17th mantra. And in this mantra, the Upanishad very clearly says that Angushta Matra Purusha is Amritam Brahma. Therefore, Angushta Matra Brahma also refers to Paramatma. That also refers to Paramatma. We don't say always it refers to Paramatma, because in Satyavan story it refers to Vachyartha Jivatma. We saw it yesterday. Here it is Lakshyartha. This is first reason. And the second support that Acharya quotes is at the end of the 13th mantra of the same Upanishad, where the Upanishad says, Yetat Vaitat. This Purusha is the one that you want to know. Etat vaitat, it says at the end of the sutra, of the mantra. For that, we should remember the context of Kathopanishad also. The Upanishad is the teaching of Yamadharmaraja to Nachiketas. And Nachiketas has asked 3 boons. And in the third boon, among the 3 boons, the third boon he wanted to know Paramatma, which was given in Kathopanishad 1.2.14. And we already saw that mantra, Anyatra dharmat, Anyatra dharmat, Anyatra smat, Krita kritat, Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacham, Yattat pashyati tadvada. Where Nachiketas asked clearly, he asked him to teach about Brahman. And Yamadharmaraja, after talking about Purusha, he says that this Purusha is Paramatma, which you asked for through your third boon in mantra 1.2.14 of Kathopanishad. And this also makes it very clear that Angushta Matra Purusha is Lakshyartha Jivatma, which is Paramatma only and not Pachyartha Jivatma. With this, the second sutra and the Adhikaranam and the sutra is also. Now we will present the conclusion in our regular way of this Adhikaranam, in our 5-factor way. We call it 5-factor way. First is Vishayaha. Vishayaha is the subject matter. Subject matter is what? Angushta Matra Purusha of Kathopanishad 2.1.13. And second is Samshaya, the doubt. Does it refer to the limited, to the samsari jivatma, or does it refer to the limitless asamsari paramatma? And third is Purvapaksha. Purvapakshi, what does he say? He says it refers to jivatma only because of the size of the thumb as mentioned. And also the Satyavan Savitri story. He got it from Mahabharata. That also we mentioned yesterday. And the Siddhanta says Angushta Matra Purusha refers to Paramatma only based on the second line. Second line of the mantra was what? Ishano Sarva Bhutasya. And the size is seeming size and not a factual size. Yesterday we talked about seeming size, factual size, and all that. And the 5th factor is called Sangatihi. Sangatihi is the 5th point, that it is the sutra occurs in the right place. The Adhikaranam is placed in the right place. With this, the Adhikaranam 7th topic is over. Now let us go to the 8th topic, and that is called Devatadhikaranam. Devatadhikaranam. So this has sutras 26 to 33. Tat uparyapi badarayanaha sambhavat. Tat uparyapi badarayanaha sambhavat is the sutra, 26th sutra of 3rd pada 1st chapter, 89th running Brahma Sutra. So we are entering now into the next Adhikaranam, and the description of the privilege of study of Vedas and meditation is continued here in this particular sutra also. First, let us do this general introduction of this Adhikaranam, and this consists of 8 sutras. And this and the next Adhikaranam, they are extension of the previous Adhikaranam. So these 2 Adhikaranams, they answer 2 questions out of the previous Adhikaranam that we just saw. And they are discussed incidentally, and it is called Prasanga Sangatihi. So this Adhikaranam has no separate Vishaya Vakya. And we are taking the same Kathopanishad mantra 2.1.13 as the Vishaya Vakyam for this Adhikaranam also. Angushta Matra Purusha Jyotiriva Adhumakaha Ishano Bhuta Bhavyasya Saevadya Savushvaha Etad Vaitat. So the same mantra that we used earlier, we are using in previous Adhikaranam, we used 2 mantras, 12 and 13. Now we are using 13 of Kathopanishad 2.1.13. So what is the question that may arise out of the previous Adhikaranam? We discussed that the Kathopanishad mantra concerning the Angushta Matratvam, and in the 2nd sutra, it was said that Paramatma is said to be the size of human thumb, because human beings alone study the scriptures. Since Paramatma is obtaining as Sakshi in the mind, Paramatma is figuratively called Paramatma is of the size of the mind. So Manushyaadhikaratvat, that is used in the previous Adhikaranam, and human beings alone have the right to study Vedas because of adhikaritvam. So the question now is whether Manushya's alone have the right to study Vedas, or others, Devatas, also have the right to study Vedanta Jnana. Here the subject matter is whether Devatas have the right to study Vedas. And if you go on, Nastika approach or purely practical approach, this Adhikaranam has no relevance at all. Because we do not know much about the existence of Devatas, heavens and all that thing at all. So if we believe in Shastra and believe in Swargaloka and believe in Devatas, then this Adhikaranam is going to be relevant. It is purely otherwise an academic Adhikarana. Because of the topic alone, it has got the name Devata Adhikaran. Devata Adhikaran. So the name is based on subject matter, and it being Devata Adhikaraha, it is called Devata Adhikaran. And we do not have a separate mantra vakyam, as I told, Vishaya vakyam here, because it is an extension of the previous Adhikaranam, as I mentioned. For this also, Vishaya vakyam is 2.1.13 of Kathopanishad. Now the question is whether this Angushta Matra applies to Devatas also, and that is discussed in this Adhikarana. And our Siddhanta conclusion is what? Devatas also have Shastra Adhikaraha. Devata also can get Atma Jnanam by studying under the Devata Guru. Now we will discuss the first sutra now. Vyasacharya says that Devatas have got Shastra Adhikara. He says for higher beings, Adhikara is there for them also. Higher beings means what? Those who live in higher lokas. For having the Adhikara or the rights. To have the Adhikara, they prescribe 3 conditions. Who can have the Adhikara to learn Vedas, Vedanta? Devatas fulfill all 3 conditions, and therefore they have Shastra Adhikaraha. And now what are the 3 conditions? Number 1, Arthitvam. Number 2, Dakshatvam. And 3, Apratishiddatvam. Apratishiddatvam. Actually, the original word is aparyu dashatatvam. That is the original word, but apratishiddatvam seems to be much more easier to handle. So arthitvam means the need or requirement for Shastra should be there for anybody to study Shastras. For example, Shastra deals with Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, and unless one is desirous of one of the 4 at least, the Shastra is going to be relevant. Because Shastra deals with the rituals for acquiring Kama, Artha, Dharma, and the Jnanam for acquiring Moksha. So if I am not interested in any one of the 4, I do not become eligible for any of the Arthitvam, Dharmarthi, Kamarthi, Dharma. See, actually in Vishnu Sahasranam Parashvati we have seen Dharmarthi prapniyat dharmam, Artharthi chartam apniyat, Kaman avapniyat kami, Prajati chapniyat prajaha. So Arthitvam is required for using a means. That is why animals do not seek any one of the 4 Purusharthas at all. They don't have need of Shastra because they don't have Arthitvam. And even a Jnani does not have Arthitvam also. In Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga, Krishna said, Naivatasya krite nartaha, na krite neha kaschana. Nachasya sarva bhuteshu kaschidartavya pashrayah. So for a Jnani also, tatra vedaha aveda bhavanti. Veda is not required for a Jnani. Therefore, the condition for Shastradhikara is Arthitvam. That is required. Desire to acquire the Purusharthas, the ends mentioned in the Shastras. And the second condition is Dakshatvam. Dakshatva means the capacity. Mere desire alone is not enough. There should be financial capacity, physical capacity is required. All organs should be fit. So, Vikalanganam Shastrena Adhikaraha. Andha Pangvadinam Shastrena Adhikaraha. For the deaf and dumb and other physically, mentally challenged people, physical body should be fit for doing karmas and rituals. So we saw Panta Yajna in Brihadaranya Upanishad. In Pankta Yajna, we need that 5 factors. There should be spouse, there should be putra, there should be money, Daivam Vittam, Manusham Vittam, all that we saw, they are all required as stated in Brihadaranya for doing any ritual. And all these come under what? Dakshatva, the capacity. And the third condition is Apratishiddatvam. Shastra's permission is required. Shastra should not have negated the permission. For example, a ritual meant for a grahastha alone is permitted, like Agnihotra and all are permitted only to grahasthas. That means sannyasi or brahmachari should not do that. Therefore, brahmachari and sannyasi, they come under pratishidda category. He may have arthitvam, he may have dakshatvam also, money, physical fitness, all that can be there. Even then, he cannot do that because he has apratishiddatva. He is not qualified to do that ritual. And a person without Upanayana Samskara is not traditionally permitted for Veda Adhyayanam. Even if he has got Arthitvam and Dakshatvam, for Adhikara, Apradishiddatvam, that permission is required. Desire, capacity, and scriptural permission are required for Shastra Adhikara. Now, our point is whether Devatas have all these 3 conditions fulfilled to perform rituals and gain Shastra Jnanam. That means if the 3 factors are there in the Devatas, they can study Shastras. And Shankaracharya in his commentary shows that all 3 conditions the Devatas fulfill. Because Vyasacharya uses the word Sambhavat. Because conditions are there, Arthitvam, that is, the Shankaracharya says, Devatas have got desire for moksha also. Because they are also samsaris. Samsaris, but they may be comfortable samsaris. They are conditioned comfort samsaris. How? Because we have seen in Taittiriya Upanishad, Te yeshatam manushya gandharvanam anandaha sayeko deva gandharvanam anandaha Te yeshatam deva gandharvanam anandaha sayeka ajana janam devanam anandaha. So they also suffer samsara as we have seen in Taittiriya Upanishad. They do not have Purna Ananda. Their Ananda also is subject to increase and decrease. Tarathamyam vartate, gradation. They also have gradation, mortality. They also have Ragadvesha. Indra is always frightened the moment anyone does an Ashwamedha Yajna. Therefore, he discourages people. He even steals their horses. He uses all these Ramba, Urvashi, all those celestial damsels to distract them, the tapas yajna. All the time they are afraid of their position. And they yearn to get out of samsara also. They also have raga, dvesha, bhaya, paricheda, vikara, all of them they have. That is called arthitvam here. And the desire to gain any of those. And the second condition is dakshatvam. And Shankaracharya says dakshatvam is capacity, as I told. So Shankaracharya, he shows Devatas also have capacity because they have physical bodies. Devatas have physical bodies. Since Devatas are not knowable through our pramanas and can be known only through Shastra pramanam, Shastras clearly talk about Devatas' bodies, Devatas' weapons, Devatas' vahanas, all of them. Lam Indraya Vajrahastaya. So Indra has got Vajrahastam. Ram Agnaye Shakti Hastaya. So Agni Devata has got Shakti Hastam. Shakti, the weapon Shakti in his Hastam. So for every Devata, Vayu, Indra, Agni, all of them, there is a body, there is Vahana, there is weapon. They are all described in the scriptures. Therefore, they have physical body and we have to take Shastra as pramanam to know that. This is called Vigrahavatva. We will analyze more of this actually. Vigrahavatva. Vigraha means body, Vatva means possession. So Devatas possess the body and that also a fit and healthy body. Attend classes. Do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam and to attain moksha. They have all the requirements like enough money, good body, good family, wife and all that. And we will focus here on the body. The proof is what? Shastra Pramanam only. Shastras is the proof. For example, Vajrahastaha Purandaraha. Shastra say Vajrahastaha Purandara. Purandaraha is Indra. Then the third condition is Apradishidatvam. Shastric permission. They have also got permission to study the scriptures. They are not negated to study scriptures. Then a question based on the traditional convention will come. What is that? The Vedic study is allowed only for those people who have gone through Upanayana Samskara. That is the rule. To become a Dvijaha, one should go through Upanayana Samskara. Therefore, whether the Devatas have got Upanayana Samskara to study Shastra or not will be a question. And Devatas Upanayanam is not said anywhere in the Shastras. For Brahmana, it is said 8 years, Kshatriyas 11 years, and Vaishyas 12, 13 years, and all. There are various, some prescriptions are there in the Shastras. All these are discussed in the Shastras though, but Devatas don't have Upanayana Samskara. Therefore, they don't have right to study the Shastra. And a question might come, for the Shankaracharya says, Upanayana is meant for the study or memorization of Vedas only. Upanayana is meant for the study of Vedas and memorization of the Vedas. Memorization is a prerequisite for inquiry. Upanayana is needed for the sake of knowing Veda. Veda Adhyayanam is first, and Veda Vichara is the second process. And one should know how to chant the Vedas. Thereafter comes Veda Mimamsa, inquiry. And it is also twofold. Veda Purva and Veda Uttara Mimamsa. Veda Purva Mimamsa, Karma Kanda. Veda Uttara Mimamsa, Jnana Kanda. So Purva Mimamsa deals with rituals. Uttara Mimamsa deals with knowledge, Jnanam. So a person enters Brahmacharya Ashrama, study Vedas by heart, and then he studies Veda Purva Mimamsa and Veda Anta Mimamsa also. Then he should inquire into Veda Purva Bhaga Mimamsa also. So these two are done in Brahmacharya Ashrama. Then in Grihastha Ashrama, the Purva Mimamsa, which deals with the rituals, Karmakanda portion, they should be implemented in Grihastha Ashrama. There are 41 samskaras are mentioned, right from Garbhadanam, conception, till Antyeshti. So many rituals are there. Which one a person is supposed to do during Grihastha Ashrama. And in Vanaprastha Ashrama also Veda Purva Bhaga implementation is done. Many of them concentrating on Upasanas. And in Sannyasa Ashrama, it is Veda Anta Vicharaha. Vedanta Vichara, this is the Vedic scheme. Brahmacharya Ashrama learning, Grihastha Ashrama implementation, Vanaprastha Ashrama again implementation, and Sannyasa Ashrama implementation means Upasanas also, and Sannyasa Ashrama Vedanta. Whether Purva or Purva Mimamsa or Anta Vedanta Mimamsa, Veda Adhyayanam is a must. And the Atha Shabda Vicharaha, Atha, Om Atha, when Brahmaji created Atha Shabda Vichara, Shankaracharya says in the Bhashyam, Veda Adhyayanam tu Samanam. It is a prerequisite for Veda Purva Mimamsa and Veda Anta Mimamsa also. And according to our tradition, Veda Adhyayanam requires Upanayana Samskara. For Devas, Upanayanam is not mentioned as I mentioned earlier. And therefore, they do not do Veda Adhyayanam, and therefore they cannot do Mimamsa Vedanta Vichara. Tasmat Devanam Adhikaraha Katham Sambhavati. That is the question. How they can get the Adhikara to learn that. And we already said all these are all academic, okay? Don't go into a lot of search into this. And Shankaracharya says, Devatas do not require Upanayanam or Adhyayanam to chant Veda, but still, because of the very Devata status, they will have the knowledge of Vedic chanting from birth. Not like our 9-month pregnancy, labor, birth room, and all that thing. They straight away attain a youthful body. It will stay for a long time and will disappear also. No problem of Garbhavasa, Kaumaram, Yauvanam, all those things they don't have. So even they acquire an adult body, they will acquire Veda Pata Jnanam also, Veda Pata Jnanam also they will get. Therefore, Devatas are given the title Swayam Bhata Veda. It means by birth they have the knowledge of Vedic chanting. Since they have Vedic Jnanam, they can do Veda Vicharam even without Upanayana Samskara because of their extraordinary status. Therefore, what are the three conditions now? Number one, Devatas have got desire for moksha, arthitvam. And Devatas have got the physical capacity for Shastra study because they have got body, they are embodied. So, Dakshatvam. And Devatas can do Vedic inquiry since they have Veda chanting Jnana. Therefore, Adhikaraha Vartate. Tasmat Angushta Matraha means Manushya, Deva, Angushta Matra, Purushaha, both included. Not only Manushya, Angushta Matraha, Deva, Angushta Matra, Purushaha. And there is an incident point also. When Shankaracharya says Devas have physical body, remember their physical bodies are not like our physical body. These are only our imagination, all our pictures. Their physical bodies are physical enough to do their vyavahara, but not physical enough for our perception. If they have body, physical body, one should not ask, why I don't see them. It is a subtle physical body. Then how do we know that they have physical body at all? Shastra is the pramana. Even though we cannot see it, Shastra says. And we are all astikas, we believe in Shastras, and so we say what the Shastra says, we believe. And we have to note one thing here, that this topic will become more elaborated in the next sutra, where our contention is going to be whether Devadas have a body or not. We will deal with it elaborately in the next sutra. For this particular sutra, it is enough to note that Devatas have body on the basis of Shastra Pramana. We are going to analyze this more later, as I told. And when there is going to be a fight, actually at that time there is going to be a fight even between Badarayana, there is Vedavyasa and Jaimini, his own student, fight between Guru and Sishya. Badarayana says Devas have got body, and Purvamimamsaka, Jaimini says they do not have body. We are going to see all those discussions at that time, interesting. So it is enough to note that Devatas have Vigrahavatvam. So that is Vigrahavatvam Sambhavat. Because of these three conditions being there, all are fulfilled, they have Shastra Adhikara, they can learn Shastras. This is the essence of the first sutra. Now let us go to the word analysis now. There are 5 words here in this sutra. Tat, Upari, Api, Badarayanaha, Sambhavat. Tat, Upari, Api, Badarayanaha, Sambhavat. 5 words. Now we have to supply the words Adhikarinaha, Iti, Manyate. These 3 we have to supply. Adhikarinaha, Iti, Manyate. 3 more words. Then we have to rearrange the sutra. Tat, Upari, Api, Adhikarinaha, Sambhavat. Tat, Upari, Api, that is the Paksha. Adhikarinaha is Sadhya and Sambhavat Hetu. All this definition, all this I will told. Pakshaha, Sadhya, Hetu. All that. Then Iti Badarayanaha Manyate. This is the complete sutra. Now the first sutra, that is what? Tat Upari Api Adhikarinaha Sambhavat Iti Badarayanaha Manyate. The first word is what? Tat. Tat means here Tasya or Tesham. Tesham Manushyanam, human beings, refers to human beings. So Shashtyarte Prathamaha, for 6th case Prathamaha, Tat is equal to Tasya, Manushyasya, Manushyanam. Upari means Uparishtaha Devataha, the higher celestials, Devatas, the heavenly beings. Therefore, Tat Upari means the celestials who are above or higher than human beings. So Manushyasya Uparishtaha Devataha, those Devatas who are higher than human beings. And the next word is Api. Api means also. Adhikarinaha, they are also qualified. Api Adhikarinaha, they are also qualified, have the right for Shastric study. And what is the significance of the word also, api? Because in the previous adhikaranam, manushyanam adhikaraha was said. We said human beings are entitled to the rituals. And now we add to that is devatas also can do it. That is why api, devatas api. Then the next word is sambhavat. Because of the presence of the conditions or factors for shastric studies. So adhikara karana sambhavat. And what are the factors for adhikara karana? Artitvam, dakshatvam, apradishiddhatvam, sambhavat. So all these things they are there. Tesham adhikaraha vartate. They have the adhikara. Who? Devatas. Therefore, now it is clear that Devatas also have the right for Vedantic study because they fulfill all the three conditions. With this, the first sutra is now over. Now, Shankaracharya, he includes a Purvapakshi. Because without Purvapakshi, Brahma Sutra is not going to be complete. So, who is going to be the Purvapakshi here? The Purva Mimamsaka is the Purvapaksha here. And here the Purva Mimamsaka refers to a portion in the Purva Mimamsa section. There is a portion whether Devatas have right to do rituals or not. In Purva Mimamsa, there is a discussion whether they have the right to do the rituals or not. There they have established that Devatas and Rishis also. The Rishis and Devatas, they do not have karma adhikaraha. Where it is established? In the sutras, Purva Mimamsa sutras. And the essence of the two sutras, there are two sutras are mentioned here. All the rituals are defined as offering of oblations in the fire, which is meant for various devatas. Indraya Swaha, Prajapataya Swaha, Parameshtine Swaha, Paraladam, the ahutis are offered, meant for those devatas. So in the yaga, devatas are the beneficiaries because they receive the oblations. The benefactors are the manushyas. Suppose the devatas also give oblations. What will happen? Devatas are receivers of the oblations and it is conducted for devatas. Therefore, yaga is not a yaga without devatas receiving the oblations. And if they have adhikara for performing the yagas, they will be givers of the oblations, and then who will be the receivers? Because devatas, their livelihood is based on the oblations given by manushyas. As this is not possible, manushyas are offerers and devatas are the receivers of oblations. And this is extended to the rishis also, as you do to the devatas, rishis. Rishis are also invoked before employing any mantra. For any mantra, you invoke the rishis. And that is why it is said devatas are invoked in the heart. So the rishis are invoked, for everything. Parabrahma Rishihi, Trishtup Chantaha, Paramatma Devata. So you invoke the rishis and invoke the chandas and also the devatas. And the rishis are always invoked in Vedic rites. And the manushyas are invokers and rishis are always invoked. Manushyas are the one who invoke the rishis and devatas. So if devatas and rishis, they start performing rituals, none will be there to receive the oblations or to invoke. So the Purva Mimamsakas, they have concluded that rishis and devatas have no Veda Karma Adhikara. This is said in Jaimini Sutra. Who is Jaimini? Jaimini is Veda Vyasa's student. So in Jaimini Sutras 6.1.6 and 6.1.7, Na Devanam Devatantara Abhavat. It's a sutra. Na Devanam Devatantara Abhavat. And then the next sutra, Na Rishinam Arsheyantara Abhavat. So for devatas and rishis, there is no adhikara to do these rituals. So these two sutras, 6.1.6, 1.7 of Jaimini Sutras, Purva Mimamsa Sutras. And based on this, the Purvapakshi says, this rule should be extended to Vedanta also. When these rules are there for Vedic karmas, it should be extended to Vedanta also. And now Sankaracharya, he answers by saying, I don't want to dispute your conclusion. He very clearly mentions, okay. But your conclusion should be, what is the problem with your conclusion? You confine your conclusion to Karma Kanda only. And confine it to the rituals, Karma Kanda. This conclusion, I don't want to challenge or question your conclusion with respect to Karma Kanda. I don't want to even challenge or question that. But with respect to Jnana Kanda, this conclusion is incorrect. Who says? Shankaracharya says this conclusion is incorrect with respect to Jnana Kanda. Devatas also have adhikara. So why does Acharya argue like this? The reason is, Purvapakshi, he refuted adhikara for devatas and rishis in the field of karma. For what reason? Because karma involves invocation of devatas and rishis, and therefore devatas cannot perform, and karma involves invocation of rishis also, therefore rishis also cannot perform karma. These two reasons are not there in Jnana Kanda. Here there is no invocation of any devata. The moment you invoke and all that thing, it becomes upasana. There is no invocation of any devata in Jnana Kanda. Since invocation problems are not there, devatas are not restricted. In fact, the devatas fulfill the conditions to perform yaga and also gain self-knowledge. So having given the logical argument, Shankaracharya quotes Shastric supports also in favor of that. In all the Upanishads, it is mentioned that devatas gain self-knowledge. How they gain self-knowledge? Again, traditional way only, by approaching to a guru. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, a guru. And in Kenopanishad, we already saw, devatas get, Indra and other devatas, they get self-knowledge from Uma Devi herself. Tasmatva ete devam atitaram ivam anyan devan yadagnirvayurindraham tehenannedishtam pasparsham tehenat prathamo vidanchakara brahmeti. Similarly, rishis also have the right for self-knowledge. Rishis have got right for self-knowledge as stated in the Bhriguvalli portion of Taittiriya Upanishad 3rd chapter. Bhrigurvaiva runihi varunam pitaramupasasara adhihi bhagavo brahmeti tagumho vacha. To show that rishis also have got adhikaram for self-knowledge, jnanam. And in Kaivalya Upanishad, same idea is given. Om atham ashvala yanaha bhagavantam parameshtinam upasametye vacha adihi bhagavan brahma vidyam varishtam sada sadbihi sevyamanam nigodham. And we have many Shruti Pramanas to support our stand, Acharya says. And also in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 1st chapter, 4th section, 10th mantra, the same idea was given. Brahmava idamagra asit tadatmanameva avet aham brahmasmiti tasmat sat sarvam abhavat tadyoyo devanam pratyabudhyatam sayeva tadabhavat satarshinam tatha manushyanam. The last sentence, tatha rishinam tatha manushyanam. Here it is said, whether whomsoever gains self-knowledge will get sarvatma bhava. Whether it is a rishi or devata or manushyana, whomsoever it is, they will get sarvatma bhava. They will gain jnanam. So the gods undergo discipleship, studenthood, in order to attain knowledge. And we also read in Chandogya Upanishad, 7th chapter, 7th section, 11th mantra, Indra lived as a disciple with Prajapati for how many years? 101 years. Indra had to spend so long a time with Prajapati to learn Atma Vidya. So all the three have adhikara. All the three means Manushas, Devatas and Rishis. They all of them have adhikara, and we have Yukti Pramana, also Shruti Pramanams to support our stand. So this is the first sutra of the Siddhanta. It's over. Let us go to the second sutra. virodha karmani iti chet aneka pratipattehe darshanat. Virodha karmani iti chet aneka pratipattehe darshanat. 27th Sutra, 3rd pada, 1st chapter, 90th running Brahma Sutra. First, let us see the general analysis. The sutra consists of two portions. One is the Purva Paksha portion, that is up to Karmani, up to that, Virodha Karmani, up to that. And then Iti Chet Aneka Pratipattehe Darshanat, that is the Siddhanti's answer. So an objection against the Sutra 26, the previous Sutra that we read just now, against that Sutra is raised and negated in this Sutra. And it is based on the previous Sutra, where we said Devatas have got eligibility for Jnana Kanda. And as we saw earlier, the middle factor, Dakshatva, the capability to do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana, which Shankaracharya indicated as Vigrahavatvam, that we just saw, is being negated by the Purvapakshi here. Here the Purvapakshi says that Devatas have no Sharira, according to Advaitins. The body is not visible to our eyes. The body is gross enough to have a body, but it is not good enough for our perception. That's what we say. So Purvamimamsakas, they believe in Vedas, but not in Devatas in physical form. Even though they believe in Vedas, they do not believe Devatas having physical form. So other than the word Indra, there is no physical Indra, according to that. So also other Devatas like Varuna, Agni and all of them, even though there is this word Indra, Varuna, Agni, there is no physical Indra, Varuna, Agni. They are in Shabda Rupa, according to that. This is their strong argument. Purvamimamsaka's strong argument is all Devatas are only in Shabda Rupam, they are not in physical form, embodied. Even Ishvara they do not accept. They contend the Lord takes care of all actions, karma. And where is the need for Ishvara at all? They are not Pramana Vakyas. We say Devatas do not have gross body, but we say Devatas have got body, subtle body. So discussion is whether Devatas have any body at all or not. If Devatas have bodies, there will be a problem. Because if Devatas have the, according to Purvapakshis, so if Devatas have the body, then they have to physically take part in the rituals, the yagas. So among the people who claim Devatas don't have body, the Purvamimamsakas don't believe in Devatas as Karma Pala Datas also. So according to them, they are Shabda Rupa Devatas. So other than the words Varuna, Indra and all that thing, they don't have physical Varuna, physical Indra, physical Agni. So Indra as Shabda gives Phalam in their view. As Shabda itself gives Phalam. So similarly, by extension, even Ishvara, they do not accept, as I said, the actions give results and they don't believe in Ishvara. There is no need for Karma Pala Data at all. Your own actions give results. So even Ishvara's descriptions are taken as Arthavada only by the Purvamimamsakas. We say Devatas also have got body, and the following sutra that we are going to study in this particular Adhikaranam, they deal with the question whether Devatas have the body or not. For example, the Yajamana has physical body, the person who does an yajna, let us say Yajamana, he has physical body, and they physically take part in the ritual. So also in the case of all the Devatas, if that is the case, what will be the problem? For example, one Ritvik can take part in one ritual only at one time. If he is doing a particular yajna, he cannot be doing another yajna at the same time. So if one Yajamana gives higher Dakshina, he may go there. He may not be even in your yajna. So he can be only in one place. So all because a priest can take part in one ritual only at a time. So if Devatas have to take part in rituals, and if one Devata takes part in one ritual, and many people perform the same ritual, at the same time, where will Indra or Varuna or Agni will go? So if he does to go to one place, he cannot go to the other place where the offerings are made. So as many people perform offerings, so many Indra, so many Prajapati, so many Varuna should be there. They are required. And there will be a problem. Shariram is there for the Devata. This is Purva Mimamsaka's, Purva Pakshi's argument. Whereas in case of Shabda Rupa Indra, such a problem will not arise. This is the contradiction and objection. So the Purva Mimamsaka raises the objection that Indra and other Devatas do not have any Shariram, and they are Shabda Rupena Devatas. And without Shariram, they cannot do rituals and offer oblations, and so Vedanta Vichara will not apply to them. This is the argument of Purva Mimamsaka. And the reply given by Acharya, what does he say? Actually, he gives two answers to the question. Number one, Devatas have powers to assume many roles to take with their power of Siddhi. One Siddhi is the capacity to have many bodies at the same time. Shankaracharya quotes Smriti and other Pramanas, which we will later also. Only difference between Devata and Manushya is Devata need not do any work, but Manushas have to work to gain that status of yoga. All this Siddhi and all. In support of the Shankaracharya, he quotes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 3rd chapter, 9th section, 2nd mantra. Saho vacha mahimana eva yesham yete atra yastrigum satveva deva iti. Yastrigum satveva deva iti. Strigum satve. Katame tetra yastrigum sadityastau iti ashtau vasavaham ekadasha rudraha dvadasha adityaha ekatrigum sadi Indraschaiva Prajapatischa Trayastrigum Shaviti. Yagyavalkya there answers, there are only 33 Devatas or gods, he says. These others, all others are only manifestation of these 33 only. Discussion we went through in Brihadaranyaka. And which are those 33? He says the 8 Vasus, Ashta Vasus, the 11 Rudras, Ekadasha Rudras, Ashta Vasus, and Dvadasha Adityas. 12 Adityas. So all these put together becomes 31. Indra and Prajapati add to them, it will make 33. This is the reply to the question, how many Devatas are there? When somebody asked to Yagyavalkya. So first of all, Yagyavalkya said 3,000 and odd Devatas are there. And Yagyavalkya then answers, and in fact, I need not enumerate them. They are only extension of 33 Devatas only, he said. Then Sakalya, another Rishi, another scholar, he asked, are there 33 Devatas? And Yagyavalkya says that there are only 6 Devatas. And he asked him, are there 33? He says only there are 6. And again he asked the question, are there 6 Devatas? Then he says there are only 3 Devatas. And when he asked again, are there 3 Devatas? Then he says, ultimately there is only one. So Devata is there. And that is Prajapati in 3rd chapter, 9th section, 2nd mantra. So only one Devata only is there. That is what Yagyavalkya's ultimate answer. And also in the 1st chapter, 4th section of Brihadaranyaka again, he says there is only one Prajapati who assumes many bodies. Agni. Again, there is Shruti Pramana. And one Indra can assume many bodies. This is the first answer to the Purva Paksha. And then there is a second interpretation also. The Purva Paksha said, if Devata is embodied, he cannot take place simultaneously in many rituals. As the priest is embodied in one ritual, he cannot go to take part in another ritual, many rituals. Adi Shankaracharya says, no. And he says that there are exceptions to this rule. He says, suppose there is a guru or some Brahmana or a respectable person, and he is standing in one place. And so many people, what they do namaskarams to him. And the one who does namaskara is also embodied. And the one to whom namaskaras are done, he is also embodied, that guru. So if the person, somebody's mic is still on, but they are not turning off the microphone. If the person to whom namaskaras are done, he cannot bless all the persons who do namaskaras. But still people do namaskaras. Why? Because you are sure that namaskaras will produce the benefit for you as also for the other persons. Therefore, this yogavat angabhavaha, that yogavat angabhavaha sambhavati. Even if devatas are embodied, these are the two answers. So even if they are all embodied, by doing this namaskaram, they still have the benefit. So first let us take the Purvapakshi part consisting of two words. When we do the word analysis. Virodaha karmani, which we rearrange as karmani virodaha. We'll put it the other way. Under what condition? We have to supply here. Dehanam. So dehanam vigrahatva sati karmani virodaha. Dehanam vigrahatva sati karmani virodaha. For the devatas, the dehas. If the physical body is there, in the field of rituals, Dehana vigrahatva sati, in the field of rituals, karmani virodaha. Virodaha means there will be contradiction. Karmani in the field of rituals, virodaha, there will be contradiction. So many simultaneous rituals are impossible. I don't know whomsoever it is. Please, will you be able to turn off your microphone? I'm not still seeing this. Actually, there's a somebody raise the hand also. Galaxy S10. Please. It's so distracting. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with this. Last class also we went through the same thing. So dehana vigrahatve sati karmani virodaha. For the devatas, if the physical body is there, I might as well stop, I guess. It is getting ridiculous. In the field of rituals, virodaha, there is a contradiction. How? I don't know how I can. So many simultaneous rituals are impossible, that we already said. Whereas Veda accepts many simultaneous rituals, whereas in your theory, many simultaneous rituals are impossible. And that is the Vedic contradiction. What is the example? Just as a priest cannot simultaneously take part in many rituals, this is the Purvapaksha. He has given this objection. Then iti chet. Now Siddhanti's answer comes. Iti chet, if such objection is raised, no. It is not logical. Why? Aneka pratipattehe darshanat. The word aneka pratipattihi is interpreted in two different ways also. It gives two different answers. Now let us see the first interpretation. Aneka pratipattihi means aneka sharira pratipattihi, taking many bodies simultaneously. By whom? We have to supply devatanam or devatabihi. By the devatas, taking many bodies. Therefore, devatas assuming many bodies simultaneously, darshanat, that is mentioned in the Shastras. Shastra darshanam is there. So, Shastreshu darshanatim, Shruti smritishu darshanatim. And when you say aneka shariram, it need not be even Indra shariram. In the Puranas, we have seen stories that Indra taking other bodies also. The Ahalya story is there. Therefore, not only they can take many bodies, each body can be different also, and can be even animal body one can take. And the siddhis, ashta siddhis they have. Anima, Mahima, Chaiva, Lagima, Garima, Tatha, Praptihi, Prakamyam, Ishitvam, Vashitvam, Cha ashta siddhayaha. So in all these ashta siddhis, Prakamyam is one of the siddhis fulfilling whatever desire one has. Even Ishitvam, being a mini Ishvara. Just Ishvara can create a world. These siddhas can create Trishanku Swarga. Therefore, all the siddhis are seen in the Shastras. Therefore, aneka pratipattehe darshanat. Since in the Shastras we see devatas assuming many bodies simultaneously, there is no contradiction. So one Indra can go to any number of rituals simultaneously and take the Chavirbaham also. Then comes the second interpretation of aneka pratipattihi. What is that? Anekatram ekasyam pratipattihi. Aneka means in many places. Pratipattihi means taking part. So angabhavaha. You have to supply ekasya, one devata. Therefore, aneka pratipattihi means one devata taking part in many places. First interpretation is one devata taking many bodies. One devata taking many bodies and going to so many places. The other one is one devata taking part in many places. The second interpretation is one devata taking part in many rituals. So darshanat. Darshanat means is seen by us. In what context? Namaskaradishu. Acharya says in the context of receiving namaskaras, where one guru takes part in the namaskaras of 10, 20, 100,000 disciples simultaneously. How does he take part? As a receiver of namaskaras. Therefore, aneka pratipattehe darshanatim karmanam virodha nasti. There is no virodha at all, objection at all. With this, the second sutra also is over. Second adhikaranam is also over. Now we will go to the next sutra. The second sutra of this adhikaranam is over. Now let us go to the next sutra in the next class. Yo vedadau swara prokto vedante cha pratishthitah tasya prakritilinasya ya parasamaheshwarah. Om purnamada purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnameva vasishyate. Om shanti shanti shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.